I started hanging out with my friends again. I go skateboarding like every night. Yeah. I play soccer. I watch sports with my friends, with my brother. Yes, sir. And I started working out again. Yeah. I've lost a lot of weight because, I didn't want to do anything. Yeah. So I just would go home and lay in bed. Yeah. So it's a lot better. Yeah. It's like you said, it's actually life again. Yeah.
Welcome to the Experience Miracles podcast, where we help parents find hope, answers, and drug-free help to overcome your child's chronic health challenges. I'm your host, Dr. Tony Ebel, and I'll be sharing my experiences as both a dad and a doctor on every episode. I can take the latest science and neurology of healing and break it down in the most simple and relatable way possible. We'll take on the toughest topics and answer your biggest questions through interviews with other amazing parents and leading experts, leaving you with practical action steps that you can take to help your child heal and thrive. It's time to expect and experience miracles. Let's get started.
Welcome again to the Experience Miracles podcast. We have two incredible, awesome, young, special guests, way younger than me. Let's not talk about birthdays and ages on this. We'll get right into the stories and the science. But this podcast episode we are so excited for because everything we do begins with hope. Everything we do begins with stories. And for all of us, myself included, when I was there as a parent with Oliver, it's just having a story that you can anchor onto and you can latch onto and say, hey, if there's even just one that got through this storm, well, then that's enough, at least for me as a parent, that's enough evidence, to get through and to make it happen. And so what we want to do here with Francesca and Cole on this podcast episode is what I'd love to do here, my friends, is have you guys first say hi, and then we'll set you up in a little bit. We're gonna kind of go backwards. We're like we talked about. We're gonna go back to obviously everything in life right now is amazing. Everything is rocking, and it wasn't always that way. So we'll go ladies first here, brother man. And so Miss Francesca, if you could introduce yourself, say hi to our Experience Miracles community here, and then just we'll go right to it. That way we can get rolling with this. For a long time, you both, and so Francesca, you start seizures, and then all the different layers of stress, right? The anxiety, the different health challenges took over your life. So if we go back to the thick of that, take us there, and we'll move forward from that.
All right. So, there's a lot that goes into that, so we're going to be here for a while. So I guess we start near sophomore year of high school. I guess that's where it kind of got the worst. So my grand mal seizures started around March of that time, but I had an atonic seizure December of my sophomore year after just trying to study for some exams, which, I didn't know that could happen, which I guess was a stress-induced situation. And after being told I was free of having absent seizures, my EEG was clear. Yeah. I thought, okay, I'm good. I'm allowed to be stressed. I didn't even know stress-induced seizures were a thing. So, next morning, I completely passed out on my bathroom floor. Embarrassing, right? So then I went to the ER, and they were like, oh, yeah, you had an atonic seizure. I don't know what that is. And then, but I went to the neurologist, and he was like, oh, maybe that was just a accident. Oh, well, it might happen again, might not.
Just kind of explained it away. Didn't happen.
Yeah, it was there was no kind of reason, but there was a chance that my seizures could come back worse. And I was thinking, oh, that's great. And so then it was about March of that time. I think I don't remember even how the seizure came on, but I had a grand mal seizure, and I've never experienced that before. And that's a humbling experience. Yeah. And then I kept having them once a month or so. And
so when you say, my role, I guess here, my friend, as we navigate backwards, is to go through these elements and make sure, because there's so many that are going to be listening who are still in that dark, stuck, stressed seizure place. Mm. When you say humbling experience, what does that mean?
Kind of you thought life was decent before, and then you kind of just go through all these waves of well, now you're kind of like hit with some mental health issues because now you're hit with all these like difficult seizures and you don't know how to get out of them. And then medicine isn't working. And so you're kind of just humbled by that situation.
You don't know when they're coming?
Yeah. And so it's like, well, what do you do then? Like other people aren't experiencing it. So I'm kind of like, oh, it's just like a character development thing. But it's actually like really hard to deal with because no one else knows what you're going through. So you're kind of just brought down to a lower level in your head. So, like, with all those seizures, too, that I was getting, like, I kind of got more depressed and hopeless, and I was going through a lot of, like, other issues, too, and so it was just rough, like, near the end of my sophomore year. Like, I was also hit with an eating disorder, so I was dealing with, like, seizures, depression, eating disorder. I was just hit with like everything. Which is for everybody listening, that is why probably the number one term you'll hear on this podcast again and again, and it's a term now very familiar to you guys, is the perfect storm. Which, 15 years ago when we really started to study the struggle, so I'd say the story of the struggle like yours and like yours we're going to go through here in a minute, Cole, and then we studied the science too. The best kind of analogy or acronym we could come up with is this isn't one thing. This is a multitude of things. Once someone's struggling with one neurological challenge, most especially big stuff like seizures, it doesn't come alone. It comes with anxiety. It comes with depression. It comes with so many different challenges through your digestive system, your immune system, how you physically feel, everything. Sleep is destroyed by it. And then at the same time, as we break down the neurology of it, there's multiple layers that go in a specific order that stack this stress up like the perfect storm. And so what we want to do, since we now have you from seizures to BFFs here on this, Kay, I know that those moments, I know as you hear your now awesomely good friend share her story, Cole, there's probably a lot of relatability. So what about for you when we go back to those years of the convulsions and the seizures for you? What was that first part of the struggle like?
Well, I started having my first seizures around the time I was turning 7 is when I started having my first, grand mal seizures. My first one, I had just gotten out of the shower and like, thank God, didn't have it in the shower. I had just gotten out and, I remember I was drying off my hair and then my hands just like stopped working and I was like, well, this isn't right. And then I just started falling towards the ground. And then I woke up in the hospital, not knowing what was going on or, where I was. And, for a 7-year-old, that's a pretty scary thing to have happen. And so, life just went on from there, having seizures, and I didn't know because I was 7, didn't know from there that, I had developed depression, anxiety. And I just, kept on having grand mal seizures, not day after day, but frequent enough to where I needed to get on medication, had to have someone with me at all times, couldn't, never could take a bath, couldn't go swimming by myself, couldn't do all these other things that I saw other kids doing that I wanted to be doing. Yeah. And, it was really, really tough. And then going into high school, it got a lot harder because, then that's when kids started driving. And I really liked cars, especially mine.
Trucks, I think you mean. No, I'm just
No, yeah. Well, trucks too. But I had put like a ton of work into my car, but I couldn't drive it. Yeah. And so it was like love and torture because I loved this car that I couldn't drive. Yeah. And so seeing all these kids, driving their cars to school and then me knowing I have this car that I want to drive so bad, but not being able to, it hurt really bad. And then one day we changed my medicine and I went to school and had 7 of them in one day and 6 of them were at school. And I was just like, 5 of them, I tried to hide. Well, 4 of them. I tried to hide. I had one in the beginning, and the very beginning of the school before first period started, and my friend Mikey, he knew I had seizures. I went, I was hanging out with him, and he saw me kind of, twitching, and he like grabbed me. He was like, "You need to go to the nurse." And I tried to, tell him, "No, I'm okay." And he like grabbed me and like pushed me down. He was like, "Dude, you need to sit down." And I stood back up, and I was like, "Nah, man, I'm okay," because I was embarrassed by it. Yeah, I was fighting, and I was embarrassed by it because I didn't want him, because it's embarrassing to not be in control of your own body. Yeah. And so then, I had a bunch throughout the rest of the school. And at lunch, I had my head down because, I kind of felt more seizures coming on. And my buddy, Michael, he was like, do you need help going to the nurse? Because I got up and I was like, I need to go to the nurse. Yeah. And I said, no, I think I'm good. And so I'm walking to the nurse with my hand on the wall, almost falling down. And so I get there, and, I told them, my name's Cole, I'm about to have a seizure. And they knew who I was. Yeah. And so they laid me down on the cot, and I immediately just went into 2 grand mal seizures. And, they called my dad because my mom was at work. And they had to take me out to the car in a wheelchair because I couldn't walk. And so then I got home, and I had another one. And, that was a rough, it wasn't fun. No. It wasn't fun.
So I think the one thing you guys are sharing here that is so insanely valuable for those that are listening is, if someone who knows nothing of seizures and knows nothing of this, you get online, you get on some of the, I'm just going to say it how I feel, right? So we're in it now. We're in the full, as we always will be with this podcast. You get on some of the lame websites, WebMD and, the websites that your moms and dads scoured for, looking for answers, and they all read the same. Oh, seizures are caused by? We don't know. What they do is this, but nobody writes about, talks about, and knows about this layer of life. The fact that you feel so different from everyone else and no one understands. The fact that all you wanted to do was go to school that day, drive your car, and fight through it. So now the silver lining in this is who God made you to. You're fighters, okay? You're stubborn in the best of ways, all right? That's one of the many reasons we love you so much, is just that inner fight, that inner willingness to keep moving forward, which when we use this phrase, against all odds, whatever phrase means more than that, that's what you guys were up against. And here's where I want to go next. Because you not only had the neurological challenges, you had the subluxation, you had the stress, you had your vagus nerve shut down, all the neurology I could go through. I won't do it in this one. You were up against that neurologically, but you were also up against the frustration of doctors having what kind of answers for you. So Francesca, when you were in it, because I know you're brilliant, you're smart, you love science. So I have no doubt that you were, asking questions of others and being like, hey, someone explain this to me. When you get into the struggle that was there for you guys with the depression and the mental part of it, how much of it comes not just from the struggles you're having, but the lack of answers and the lack of doctors who can help? When you were in that moment, what part or what element did that play into the struggle?
I guess for me, since no one really had a solution for me, I think that really played into a lot of, the hopelessness. And I think, parents can also say, they also didn't know where to go from there, because doctors are like, well, we can get you more medicine, but I don't know what else to
Even that runs out eventually in the seizure world, right?
Exactly.
They had thrown them all at you guys.
And, even medicine doesn't completely stop them. Maybe they can control them a little bit, but it doesn't, completely end them. There's no solid solution, and people want to know, is there a way that this can completely stop? No one wants to keep having seizures. They just want it to be completely done. And so to find some sort of answer that's maybe not medicine, that's no one wants to be on medicine the rest of their life. I don't want to be on medicine the rest of my life. So, to find PWC or something else, something holistic, that's so much better. So I think doctors, even they go to med school and then they don't know what to tell you, which is crazy to me, because you've gone to med school for 12 years or so, and then you tell your patient, well, it's
incredibly frustrating, and it's frustrating, and it's enlightening in a way that you don't want it to be enlightening, how little they really know about anything at all outside their scope, right? And your parents can speak to this even more so. When you ask any question outside this narrow little lane of what does this medication do and what's next, they are literally just clueless. And that is not meant to be a bash or a put down. That is just a reality that we all face. I was there with Oliver, and he was having his seizures, and his EEG was a mess. And I was just communicating with them, to me, who studied neurology and went through, just basic neurology and functional neurology. And they looked at me like I was, like I was speaking in Latin. I'm like, how do you not know this? How do you go to all that school and not know this? And so, we break into science on other episodes of this. But what I want to I want to stay in this with you guys, because this is everything. You wanted the seizures gone, obviously. You wanted the depression gone, obviously. But if you really, and you probably didn't think about it in this light during that season of life, but what you wanted was life. So you knew you wanted the bad things gone, but the real drive, the real motivator, and it's still, I imagine, it stays that way today. You just wanted life, right? You wanted to get to school, go to college. You wanted to get in that car and drive the son of a gun, right? And so is that the biggest part of being in the struggle? It's more of what you're missing out on?
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt like, especially, like, I was not an independent person. Like I think me and Cole can both say, like, we were very, like, dependent now, like, on our parents for a while, and they were very, like, on us all the time. Like, are you okay? You can't drive alone. We have to watch you, like, 24/7, be outside the bathroom if you're going to shower. Like, I just wanted to take a shower on my own time. Like, I didn't want to have to ask to take a shower. And that went on for like 2.5 years. And because I had a seizure in the shower, and I think it was like April of my sophomore year, and then I had to be dragged out. And obviously, like, that's traumatizing, but that's also really embarrassing for me. Like, I didn't want to be dragged out of a shower. So that kind of like started the whole like shower situation. But yeah, like, I just wanted some of my independence, and I wanted to drive so bad. Like, I hated telling people, oh, I can't drive. Oh, why can't you drive? I have epilepsy.
It just opens up the whole conversation you don't want to have.
Yeah,
right?
like, I didn't like telling people that I had some sort of health issue, and they were like, oh. Yikes. I was like,
see, and that's the part of the struggle that I'm so glad we got into that, because as you get later on in life and you've helped people through struggle, and you're in this, like, you're in the good, and you're like, oh, we know what you need to do is you need to just embrace it. You need to just face it, and you need to just do that. Well, that makes a lot of sense on the other side. That doesn't make any sense at all as a 17-year-old, 14-year-old, 19-year-old in the middle of it, right? Because you are not only struggling with it, but literally neurologically, your entire nervous system is stuck in fight or flight. So what sounds good on the outside can't really happen on the inside, because your entire nervous system is taken over. You're in that perpetual perfect storm of anxiety, and it just takes over. So, all right, so let's keep this train moving forward then. So, because now we're driving. Now we got things happening for you too, right? And there's a lot in between, so we won't go too far, too fast, like your car would take us.
Driving.
Yeah, now we're driving, all right? So now we're rolling. All right, so there was a moment, and we're interviewing you guys, right? Your parents get interviewed later on, all right? So that's their story later on. So when you heard about some crazy Dr. Tony, PWC, Perfect Storm, Pediatric Chiropractic, and for you two, you came from out of state. It's not like, hey, there's a new doctor in town we're going to go try. It's like, hey, we're going to go in Illinois for 2 weeks. So we'll go to you first here, brother man. What did that feel like? Well, like, what was your initial, and then take us all the way to the first phone call? Because I remember vividly speaking to each of you on the phone, and how impactful that was for me to get a chance to help you in that way first by giving you some answers. But what did that feel like for you, brother man?
I was just like, this ain't true.
Yeah.
I was like, this ain't real.
Right?
I was at
to
work.
Be true,
yeah. My mom, she listens to a lot of podcasts, and she said she just kept skipping over yours because she said because the title, she just like kept skipping over it, and then she said she just had this feeling just to listen to it, and she heard about you helping kids with epilepsy, and then I was at work, and she had just listened to that, and she called me, and we had tried everything
to
help fix this epilepsy. We had tried, pills that, prescribed by normal doctors, alternative medicine, essential oils. We had tried everything. Nothing was working. Yeah. And so she called me and she said, hey, I just heard about this guy in Chicago who helps it a lot with chiropractic work. And I was like, okay, sure. Yeah. Cracking my spine and my neck is going to help with that. But I wanted to go to Chicago, so I was like, let's do it. I wanted to go, so I was like, let's do this thing. So,
I find out.
So we got in the car and we drove 16 hours down here or up here. Yep. And we drove from South Carolina to here. And the first time you adjusted my back, I think it was. Yeah. And man, I just felt like all my nerves, it felt so good. Yeah. And then I slept so much better for those 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, I got so much sleep. I felt so much better. Yeah. And then
when did you start to first? So both of you had, which is how it goes. So the science behind this super quick is the more stressed, the more subluxated, the more exhausted, the more worn out and wound up your nervous system is, the actual better it responds to those first adjustments because the need is so much. It's like a magnetic pole. It's physics and neurology and everything put together. And so each of you on day one had incredible reactions to your adjustments, which is your body started to heal. And it heals in the order that God designed it to become healthy in the first place, which is the basic functions need to get online first. You needed to sleep, you needed digestion, you needed those things. And I remember vividly just seeing you both take those first adjustments and how much change it was happening. So that was happening to your nervous system, but what was happening to your mental conviction or we'll even just kind of call it buy-in. People always say, I don't believe in chiropractic. I'm like, well, I'm not a preacher. I'm a pediatric chiropractor, but it's the nature of it. Belief matters. There's neurology to it. And so when did you start to go, dang, this is working?
Well, I remember when I first walked in and everyone was like so nice. And I was like, who are these people? I was like, why are they being so nice to me? Because, I was just like, I wasn't
used to the medical system, which is as dark and...
Exactly. I was used to like doctors being like, we're going to get them in, get what they want, get them out. Yeah. So I was like, who are these people? I was like, who do you think you are? And so I just like kept, coming in for the adjustments and y'all were always so nice. Yeah. And then I was like, well, that felt good. And, that was okay. Mm-hmm. And, let's see how the next one goes.
So you still had doubts as you were going, heck yeah.
Yeah, I was like, let's see how this gets. Yeah. Like, let's see how the next one goes. Yeah. The next one was amazing. Yeah. I was like, 2 for 2. Let's keep going. The third one, even better. I was like, 3 for 3. Okay. Yeah. Yes. And I was just like, every single one just felt better.
Awesome.
And I was just like, I was sleeping so much better. I had so much more energy. Yeah. And about a week into it is when I realized I was like, man, this is actually working.
Awesome.
Because like I said, when I first got that phone call from my mom, I was like, this ain't going to work.
And every reason, you had every reason, not only would pediatric chiropractic be brand new to you, and not only do most chiropractors, unfortunately, poorly explain what actually happens. So when people think of chiropractic, they don't think of this stuff. And when they think of chiropractic, they can't quite make sense of the science to close the gap. That's one of the biggest reasons that this podcast and our YouTube channel and our website exists, because we're constantly sharing stories. And then the next episode, we have a full cadence. It's like, okay, now we break it down. Now we make sense of it, because we've just, our side of this equation here has done such a horrendous job of explaining it so that people would go, oh yeah, I could connect those dots. And so inside offices, it's been happening for 125 years where patients go, dang, this is too good to be true. Dang, this is working. Dang, this makes sense. Dang, why didn't somebody tell me this before? But now we're taking that to the outside. So you, my friend, I remember your report of findings. So you get your first adjustment in the morning, and then we sit down and go through everything. And we were, I'm going to say, at least the way I took it, we were besties immediately on this. We had scientific bonding. We had hope dealing bonding. We had Lululemon bonding happening. There was a lot going on.
Absolutely.
That was the real key. I'll use whatever it takes to get you better. I'll tell you that, and it matters. It matters that you guys, not immediately, you don't have to be like, yeah, subluxation, chiropractic rocks. You don't have to be like, and put the t-shirt on day one. But if we don't get you you guys to know that God, you, the patient, not just mom and dad, you to know God made you to heal and be healthy. It works this way. We can explain the science. We can do the job. So the communication part of it matters. So when did things kick in for you? What were your first feelings from phone call to getting up here to making the travel and that?
I mean, I was obviously doubtful too, because I think everyone is doubtful. And so then when Mom was telling me, she saw this Facebook post about Levi, the main celebrity of PWC.
Yeah, totally. Levi the legend.
Out Levi.
Yep, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, she was like, did you hear this story? Listen to it. And how chiropractic care, like, helped him so much. I'm like, okay, what does that have to do with me here? Okay. And then did the phone call, and I was like, these are some really happy people. Some really happy people. Yeah. I wish I could feel that happy.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll give it a try. So, went there. I walked into PWC. Energy was really radiating. Yeah. Positive vibes. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, hi, it's so nice to meet you. We're so happy you're here. I'm like, how do these people have so much energy this early in the morning?
Yes. And all the way to 7 p.m. to it.
Yes. How they maintain this much, but I haven't had this much energy in the past couple of years. So, maybe I'll get
Keep
that.
Keep it rolling.
Maybe they'll give me some as in the gift basket. They'll put a little jar of positive energy.
It's in there.
But I was like, okay, well, this is cool. So then I got my adjustment. I was like, whoa, I'm kind of tired. And then I kind of kept doing it. Oh, and I did have a eye twitch or whatever. I think that was something that also happened. But I was feeling good. I was feeling good. I was feeling better. I know that I was feeling pretty bad when I first came in. I was feeling pretty numb, pretty depressed. My skin was discolored. I was pretty yellow.
Your gut was a mess.
Literally everything was a mess.
So was mine.
Yeah, so, but I slowly started, seeing results, probably, real results, probably, 3 to 4 months into chiropractic.
It's a build-out process because the thing that was so essential for you both, but especially for you, Francesca, is we had to get what we call the basics and the foundation online. And it's really tricky with tough cases when it's epilepsy, when it's autism, when it's big, huge life stuff, anxiety and depression. What we want to do is we want to get the big stuff gone yesterday, right? And what actually has to happen in a neurological healing process is we've got to get all the basic, boring stuff working first. Sleeping, digestion, immune system. And so especially for you, those were all literally completely shut down. So the first 2 weeks, the first whole phase or multiple phases of your care plan was just focusing on those basic things. Not as exciting as my seizures are gone, my anxiety's gone, my depression's gone, but crucial to get to that stuff. And then second, the way this works the way chiropractic works completely different than everything else, even in the natural holistic space. So that we really look at healthcare in there's three options. There's medicine, right? You've been through all that. Life-saving, but not life-restoring, right? They can put a fire out there, the fire department, but they can't rebuild, they can't restore. And I don't think we should ask them to do that. I think what stinks about our current healthcare setup is we're asking these people to be the fire department that puts fires out and then shows up the next day and rebuilds the house. Well, those are two completely different jobs, right? And so they have drugs and surgeries and really nothing else, right? Not a lot of hugs and hope dealer t-shirts either in there, do they? Right? Not a lot of energy. It's some grumpy lady where you're like, oh, you're here again, fill out this form. And then you've got natural, you've got nutritional. You guys you had exhausted that too. You had done every diet, every supplement, every essential oil. You had lavender puffing in your face everywhere you go, right? And all that.
We tried the gluten, dairy, soy-free diet. Oh man,
totally. Which is so fun as a teenage dude, right?
Oh my gosh,
Totally right. Here's more butter, with your steak, which, by the way, butter and steak are fantastic. And these are all awesome things, right?
That is true.
But they don't get to the full root cause. And so Francesca's story is, and I'm glad you brought that up. So glad you brought that up yesterday and today, because healing takes time. My least favorite principle of chiropractic. So our science and our is rooted in 33 principles. You guys will learn these in chiropractic school, all right? So you don't have to memorize them right now. I'm still working on getting these two to school. So the principle number 6 is healing. All healing takes time. I despise that principle. Me being a raging bull and wanting to help people as quick as possible, I'm like, well, how can we speed that up? Well, we have sped it up with intensives. You got better, you both did, as fast as you could possibly imagine, and yet it's a process. It is a process of sleep, digestion, and the basics first, and we've got to get and then the scans, right? So let's go there next. So the scans. And I know you guys as patients, it's different than parents who have been literally up at night searching and scrolling. But when we sat down and we went through the scans, what did that play a role at all for you guys in terms of being able to see what was going on with the stress on your nervous system? You go first, Francesca.
Yeah, I thought it was like really interesting, like how they work. And I'm sure like a lot of people listening probably don't know what the scans are. So like, I guess describing it, it's basically they use like this little rolling machine thingy, and they run it down your spine or I guess run it up your spine. Yeah. And it will show you like on a little screen, like what areas of your vertebrae are most like inflamed.
Yeah, it's and we break it down in other episodes. It's where the nervous system, it's really a stress test for the nervous system because the spine is the conduit into the brain and nervous system. And so we're looking for areas of that tension, stress, inflammation, interference, all of it. So we can find it and then we can quantify it. So we can find where the subluxation, the stress really sits, and then we can find out what severity we're dealing with, which obviously in you guys, there was a lot going on, which made sense given your cases, right? So
and so like people with epilepsy, they're C1 and C2, which is near their skull. Yep. That's always going to be probably really red. That's the colors like he's described it, but you know, it's mine's still really red, and I've been doing this for like 2 years now. So, 2 years.
But they've obviously gotten better.
It's gotten better, but C1 and C2, I don't know what's up
but you're still living life, you know, and that's the key.
I've been seizure free now for almost 2 years, and even though like there's some areas in my body that are like still stressed out, like my body's still taking in the adjustments, like I'm still handling things. So even though the scans may say like, oh, this area is bad, that might not show like, you know,
which is the purpose of continuing to do the scans to make sure, hey, because stress doesn't, once we get you through the storm, stress doesn't stop coming, right? For college, for work, for everything, right? Stress is still there. So there's that continuation of care to it. And then the HRV, right? Which is really measuring the amount. And you too, what we saw in your HRVs is you were just fried. Your vagus nerve, that healing, that calming, that reparative side of your nervous system was shut down while the sympathetic fight or flight side was stuck on. So for you, do you remember that first scan report? And
I remember, because I was like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
I was, because you took out this like handheld machine and just started like pushing it on my spine.
I didn't do it. I don't know how to.
You didn't do it.
I don't even know how to turn it on, man.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of. I'm in charge of making sense of it and then getting rid of it. Right?
Yeah. I was like, it was so cold too. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, because I was like,
that's because you two are from the South.
Weird.
You know, we got to.
It gets hot in the South. I don't know what you're talking about. But no. It was really cool once it was shown to me, but it was also kind of scary because there was like all these different bars coming out of my spine, and I was like, is my spine just like breaking in half right now?
Yeah.
And but you know, once y'all explained it to me, it was actually kind of cool, because that's one thing most doctors don't do is they don't actually explain what's going on. They just say, oh, you have seizures? All right, here, take this. They don't actually explain what's happening. And you know, I'm lucky.
There's no actual They purport to have science on their side, but they don't do any of it. They don't show you any of it. They don't explain any of it, right?
And you know, I feel lucky because, you know, I'm lucky enough to have a PX doctor 5 minutes down the road from me, Dr. Scott.
Yeah, he's the man.
He's the best.
Whole team,
And he did a scan on me about a week ago. Yeah. And it was the best it's ever been.
Yeah.
It would look great.
Yeah, and, we need to get Francesca a PX section.
Totally,
absolutely, right? Absolutely, right? Now we're learning about her recent scans, right? No, that's all right. Yeah,
it's Dr. Scott.
Well, let's go there. Actually, stay and you'd actually have a hard time speaking to this. You now, obviously, you're choosing to go to school down there, and so we don't have one of our fully trained. I know your mom's going to talk to this on her interview. We don't have a fully, and it matters to a fully trained PX doctor down there. So what's different? You now have multiple. So this is huge, Francesca, because a lot of people, the first barrier to us being able to help someone is they've never heard of us. So they got to find out about us. The second barrier is got to be able to make sense of it. Doing this is going to do what for X, Y, and Z, right? Because it's so brand new. The third barrier is actually the toughest one for the families that have had it. They've been to another chiropractor or are currently going to another chiropractor, and it's vividly different than this. And that's confusing. How can chiropractic be so different, right? Well, there's a huge difference between a PX doctor, right, who's neurologically focused in this way, and those that aren't. So what is your experience there? What is the contrast points you would share with families to look for in the chiropractor that'll help most?
So I guess I'll compare like PX to non-PX. So like with PX, like they really focus on individual parts of your body that are messed up. And so like they use the scans for that. Like they don't overly adjust you because then that will help like mess up your whole nervous system. So they might only focus on like 2 parts of like your neck, or they might just do your upper back for the day or something like that. So like they really like get in tune with your body, and they're very personal with you, find out like what's kind of going on in your life. So they figure out like, oh, are you really anxious or are you sad? Because then they can also figure out, okay, what other parts do we need to adjust to make you feel better? So that's why I've noticed like with PX docs, like they're just very personal, and you find like a really good like patient to doctor relationship instead of just a very transactional one where it's like, okay, you show up and pay, and I'll
get the same every time.
I'll just PX docs, they actually care.
Like I'll just do my 5-minute thing and you pay and you go on your way type thing. Like it's a very nice healing environment, and it's very homey, and it's like you want to go. Like usually you don't want to go to the doctors. You don't want to have to talk to a doctor about your problems, and you're not close with them either. Like you don't tell them your life story, or you're not like, oh yeah, my boyfriend, like gosh, he's just been doing this lately.
Unless it's a PX actor who know that might be stressing you out, and we need this information, Francesca. Who is this chunk, and what do we need to do? Absolutely,
So you're not just going to casually tell your neurologist all about your boyfriend or your girlfriend or like whoever you're dating, or like your husband, like, oh my gosh, my husband has been watching too much football and has not been paying attention to me lately. It's been stressing me
You're going to be a great PX doctor here with your experience on this. Take it in.
So like
it matters though, because that level, that's the word I would use, diving that deep to a personalized, customized approach is the only way you can get full maximum results for a patient. And we at PwC and all PX offices, everybody without problems deserves that level of care. Everybody with a neck ache deserves that level of care. Every brand new baby, we get every detail about their pregnancy and their birth and labor and delivery and how they're latching. Every little detail gives us the complete clinical picture to make the exact right care plan, the exact right adjustment, and choose the exact right technique. And it is meticulous, and it's detailed, and it happens every single time. And so the reason most chiropractors don't do this, and so those of you that are listening, if you're looking for a chiropractor for your family, it's got to, and you guys know me, I'm not normally this pushy, but with this stuff, I'm this pushy. It has to be a neurologically focused pediatric PX doctor that's going to do that, because it's the level of care and attention and personalization that everybody deserves. And it's not easy to do per se. It's really easy for someone to go to school, graduate, and do the same thing forever. I don't think this is just a chiropractic thing. I think a lot of professions are just riding it out, right? And we take it differently because we have kids and families. And when you take care of kids, it should be everything is different. So a little bit of a little rant, preaching from the, but if there's a part of this episode that I might almost cried on, it's that one when you explained exactly what matters most about a PX office, because that's what we want for so many families. So let's do this. We're gonna, as we round third base here with our awesome podcast episode, let's have some fun, because all of this is about getting to the fun. All of this is getting in that driver's seat. All of this is having the 2-year anniversary this week of being seizure free, right? Which is where you are with this, Miss Francesca. So let's share the good news. So where are you at now, Francesca, with Seizures with Life?
I mean, I'm about to start driving.
Yeah.
Mom's still a little bit hesitant. Dad's still a little bit hesitant because I missed like so much time in between like 2 years of drive time. So yeah, I'm still waiting for my glorious moment. Yeah. But I'll be living like 5 minutes away from campus, so that's not too bad of a drive. So I'll be doing that soon. Awesome. I've been practicing a lot, so that's been good. Turn 2 years seizure free next month, so that's really, really exciting. I'm able to stay up a little bit later. That's exciting. You know, I had my 9:30, 10:30 bedtime back in high school. That was kind of boring. So now I get to stay up a little bit later.
What about just battles with anxiety, depression? How are those?
Depression's gone. Eating disorders basically gone. Anxiety, that's got to be worked on. I mean, I've had some like other health issues arise. Like I found out I have POTS. So postural
dysautonomia.
Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. For people that ask, because I get say I say I have POTS, and they're like, "You have POT?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, guys, no,
kind of like the Hope Dealer shirt that your teacher got the dope dealer shirt.
Have POT. It's with an S.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got diagnosed with that relative in March, and that's been something like I noticed I was having like symptoms of it for a couple of years, but we didn't know what it was. Yeah. So now we haven't answered that, but don't really know how to solve that.
Well, that's C1, C2 as well. That is where the difference will be when we can get you back under regular care of a PX doctor. And then those last remaining stressors that you see on your scans, yet it's C1, C2, that's where the vagus nerve is, which the vagus nerve controls and modulates our pressure and our vestibular function, all of that. So POTS is in the same realm as dysautonomia and subluxation. And as you continue to now go through school and you have the stress of that, in a good way, you have the stress of that, your nervous system is still sensitive to those areas, so it just needs another level of care and attention. You said it. You're the perfect case to show like, hey, this is a longer road than it is a shorter road, and every step of that road needs the continued care and attention that a PX doctor gives, and you're going to get it. We promise you that. Yeah. We're going to make this happen, and then those last remaining, kind of bumps in the road, they'll be gone as well, and it'll be even smoother sailing going forward. So what about you, Cole? Where are you at in life? And again, you got a little bit of a cheat code with Dr. Scott back home, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Scott Elliott.
Yeah, totally. Who moved from Idaho to Carolina, right?
Give him
just to take care of you and your crew. That's it. He's absolutely. Yeah. He's our favorite.
Bloomwell Family Chiropractic.
Absolutely. Yep.
Go check it out.
We'll put their information in here for sure. Yeah.
Yes. No.
So what's life like, brother man?
So much better.
Yeah.
So much better. Like Francesca said, I also had depression and anxiety, but I didn't even realize I had it until going into high school.
Yeah.
It got pretty bad, the depression, to like a suicidal point. Yeah. And I got sent, the state sent me to 2 mental hospitals. Yeah. First one was terrible. Yeah. First one was not good at all. It just made it worse. So much worse. The second one didn't make it worse. It just didn't do anything. And then I came here.
Yeah.
And I started, like I said, started feeling so much better. And color started getting brighter. Yeah. And food started tasting better. Yeah. And on the drive home, my mom and I stopped at a hotel because we did not want to do the 16-hour drive and one drive again. And there was a little sports bar, like burger joint across the street. And so we went there and we both got a burger. And my mom was like, "Oh, this thing is terrible." And I was like, "This is the best burger ever." And I almost wanted to order a second one. But
stuff like that people just don't know you're missing out on, right?
Yeah, but I actually I started hanging out with my friends again. I go skateboarding every night. Yeah. I play soccer. I watch sports with my friends, with my brother. Yes, sir. And I started working out again. Yeah. I've lost a lot of weight because, I didn't want to do anything. Yeah. So I just would go home and lay in bed. Yeah. So
it's life.
A lot better.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's actually life again.
Yeah. And that is, that's what I wanted to get you guys to, because the whole thing that fuels, I'll just be personal for a quick second, the entire thing that fuels us to do this work, no matter what we're up against with a patient. And we talked about this before we sat down and recorded, that we needed to remember to go backwards before we go forward, because the way God made me, I go forward instantly. I go forward fast. I just know the science to get you guys better. We just have literally thousands of cases where we've done it. We can show the science, we can show the research, we can show the scans. And so it's not even a belief. It's literally just knowledge of knowing that someone can get better. So I immediately go to the restoration of life. I immediately think of you skateboarding. I immediately think of you taking your nerdy chemistry classes that are now switching over to psychology. I immediately think of you working out. Like, I see the other side of the storm instantly, and that is the miracles. Those are the miracles. Absolutely, the miracles are the anxiety, the depression, the seizures are gone. The gone part, the deletion part. So here's math, your favorite thing, brother Matt. The subtraction part is awesome. Not near as awesome as the addition part. What comes back? This is the life God designed for you guys to live. It is designed to go in whatever direction you want it to, without limitation, without fear, without feeling like you're different than everybody else, without feeling like I can't do this because what if I have this? I can't do this because what if I have this? You had such a limited quality of life prior to chiropractic, and now you have an unlimited quality of life with chiropractic, and that is exactly what you deserve. So, Francesca, where are you planning currently to take this kick-ass life you're living now?
Well, I plan on continuing my degree in psychology and then getting my master's in counseling psychology. And then hopefully, I think I want to work with like kids with anxiety and then working especially with like kids and teenagers and like all around that range with like epilepsy and like kind of working I think I want to work with PwC and
partner up.
And like be a therapist for them and help everyone in that range that are struggling with all those mental issues and make them feel better with all their depression, anxiety, worries, and doubt. Yeah,
restore their hope and give them a plan to get it. Because that's the thing. This is hope, answers, and drug-free help. Each three things matter. The hope that we've spent a lot of time on in this episode is everything, but then the answer is the explanation and the action steps, right? This is the plan is useless without a plan. What about you, my man? Where are you at?
All right.
I can see you stewing over this answer.
A lot of people think this is weird. A lot of people think this is weird, but I want to get a job as a CO at a prison.
Yeah?
Yeah, I know.
We got to go to... We forgot to... I just realized we forgot to explain how you two have become best friends. So,
there's a level 3 like maximum security prison like 5 minutes away from our house, and I want to get a job there. And it's freaking my mom out, but I'm trying to get a job there, and I'm gonna move out and get an apartment with my brother. I'm really excited about that because we're gonna watch soccer games like all the time.
So here's what we need to do today. Before you guys head back out of town here tomorrow, we have two amazing patients, two amazing dudes who we take care of, who their life God's taken them on. They have been correctional officers, and it was a huge stepping stone to actually one of my favorite humans on earth. We'll get him on the podcast sometime. Coach Javier, he's our head CrossFit coach. He's the strongest faith-based Christian. He recently became a father. That was his journey. He was really in a tough time, and he just was getting out of it, and that was a job that led him forward to it as well. So it's crazy to hear you say that, because Javier is just near and dear to me, just like, and you remind me a lot of him. He took that journey with it. So real quick, how did you two become such fast friends? And I can only imagine the sarcasm that goes back and forth. I feel like we actually did pretty good on this episode because we're all sarcastic and joking at all times. And sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I got to talk to these guys about their nervous system as well, because we'll be taking care of you and so caught up in the joking and having fun. How'd you two meet?
The PwC.
Wow, that's really descriptive.
Oh my gosh.
What was I actually don't even know.
Okay,
Who made the connection?
I got this
Jackie?
better than him. So my, like the moms met. And so then Nicole was like, I have a son and he doesn't know anyone with epilepsy. And so maybe our kids could connect. And my mom was like, OMG, yes. They should totally meet. And we got each other's Snapchats. And then you were like, hi.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's this weird girl?
I am not weird. I am so exciting to talk to.
I think we're all pretty weird.
I mean, you should get a load of this guy.
Yeah, totally. Right? Yeah.
But, yeah, it just kind of started from there. You know, we bonded over epilepsy and, you know,
just the relatability.
I really don't know how we became friends. I'm going to be honest. We just started talking about epilepsy and then we became friends.
Well, from the outside looking in, the story you guys shared here over the last hour would explain it, because you both went through things that very few people have. So for you to become really close friends with someone who either wasn't your close friend through it, I know you had some, or doesn't have the relatability, that's hard, right? Because they just don't have that understanding. They're not going to have the same level of empathy and connection to it that you two have going forward. And that is crucial for you. That's what we're building through this Experience Miracles podcast and PX Talks. We're building a community of parents. And my favorite thing in the world is building a community of patients, like you guys actually becoming friends, you guys doing life together, because the only way we shift this and have less of the storm and less of the struggle for millions of kids is if we get out ahead of it. So you guys now going forward, this is your new way, this brand new thing that sounded crazy and sounded too good to be true. Now it's what you know, and it's what you'll pass down and share with others, right? Mm-hmm. And so you guys getting connected, your parents getting connected, this whole community getting connected is probably the most important part of this whole mission and vision that God has us on. So what questions do you wish, or just question, whatever it may be, what question do you wish I had asked you today that I didn't?
What my phone number is for the lady.
Oh, yes!
This guy's single.
What a great opportunity seized right there. And Francesca?
I'll hype him up.
Yeah.
He's been single for 3 years.
That's not hyping him up.
No, it's not.
Hyping him up. Oh, I love you too. I could do
Waiting for the right one. Waiting for the right one.
Absolutely.
Please text
when your nervous system is perfectly optimized, you become choosy. That's what you're saying, right? When
people say beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah,
it's a good thing I'm not begging.
You want a well-adjusted, strong, NF loving, all right, so let's go there. Yes. Cool. And have you got in on the NF train here? Because this is you.
Yes.
Oh, all right. So this is just Cole and I chatting here.
We cannot be friends anymore.
I told you I'm not a fan of
You need 3 things in your life. You need God, you need chiropractic, and you need NF, all right, to get your workouts going. This is our ranking order anyway. So having fun but being serious. For us, our family, we've been through stuff with Oliver, right? We've been through stuff with our own storms. So we do love his music, and we love the story that's told in it. And I know he puts out, because he's a hard worker like us, he puts out tons of he's got a ton of songs out. But if you were to take a top 2 or 3, what would they be? And give us a little meaning. I know you know the meaning behind them for you personally. What would they be?
I really like Hope.
Yeah.
He just released it.
Unreal.
He just released Hope in his new album. Yeah. I really like it because,
yes, sir.
He starts out talking about looking for the map to hope.
Yes, sir.
And then towards the end of it, he has, the voice of doubt and then the voice of reason. Yeah. Talking back and forth.
Yes, sir.
I love
and reason
that. And reason wins in the end. Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. I love that. And it's really
that one's out front right now.
That one, yes, that one's very, very good. I like intro too.
Yeah, yeah.
I love intro too.
Okay.
I really like the beat.
Yeah.
And I love the lyrics. That's actually the one that I have tattooed on my arm. Yeah. You call it music, I call it my therapist.
Yep. He is wildly, wildly talented.
I know,
and committed to helping. Yeah.
I love that he does not swear in any of his songs. Yep. And I saw in an interview they asked him about that. And they were like, so is there a reason, you don't swear? And he was like, well, there's no reason. He said, I just, when I write my music, I just don't feel like there's a reason for me to swear.
It's just not needed.
Yeah, he said, he was like, I just don't do it.
Yeah, and he's very honest, and he's very vulnerable with his journey, with his faith. Yeah. And that's what, the reason, people may be on overtime in this episode listening, and they're like, what is this? When someone is going through struggle, to know that they can get to the other side and to have a guide, to have a mentor, to even have music to help, whatever it takes to continue to get you through to the other side of it, use it all. I mean, that music is very crucial to our family. It's what we work out with because the kids can listen into it. And it very much,
that's what I was about to say. He's a rapper that you can feel comfortable with your kids listening to.
Yep, and the music does have meaning, and obviously hope, since our whole practice is the hope dealership.
Yeah, hope is number one.
Hope is number one. All right, well, leave us with this, you guys. What would you share? So, Francesca, ladies first again. In 30 seconds or so, what would you say to both parents and patients, someone who's in this epilepsy storm and all that comes with it? What would your parting thoughts be for them?
Don't give up hope. Yeah. Like, medicine is not your only option. There's definitely a way out. So,
awesome.
Give it a try.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's real. It actually works. It's not just one of those things that's advertised on it's not one of those infomercial things you see that, people are like, oh, look at this. It works. And then you buy it and it doesn't. Right. It's something, it works. You give it a shot. You'll see. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for listening on this episode. We got into the struggle. We got into the good stuff. We got into some sarcasm. We got into some NF. And that's the joy. We hope that these podcast episodes take you through not only the information you need, but we're going to always have fun. We're always going to do them in the way God designed us, because this thing we get to do with our kiddos and with our families, it's meant to be healthy. It's meant to be happy. It's going to be a kind of corny closing to this one, but that is God's design for our life, is to be full out. He didn't design us to have a limited, experience in life. He really did. And he came here. He sent his son here to deliver miracles so people could experience miracles, know about them. And like you talked about there at the end, to have that plan to follow, to go forward. And so we feel called to bring this podcast at all times to be able to give you the hope. Absolutely. The stories, but then also give you the answers and the action steps and the strategies to go forward. So whatever you need of us, all you need to do is ask. Our ask of you is to simply reach out. Just ask for help. Just give it a try. As these guys said, you can find us in every way possible. You can put a comment in there and raise your hand and say, hey, help me. You can send us a DM. You can hunt us down to the website, www.pxdocs.com. You can find the directory and find information for your local doctors there. And at the same time, the other thing you can do that would be so helpful for us to reach more Francescas, more Coles, and more of my son Oliver, which we covered on the first episode of the podcast, is you can just share this. Please share this podcast episode. Please go through, give it a rating, give it 5 stars. I think we hit 5 stars today. Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. If there was 6 stars, maybe a 6. There's not, just 5.
Listen to this podcast on the way to PWC.
There you go. Perfect.
It went over time, so you can listen to it on the plane over here.
There you go. We're new to the podcast world. These guys are coming on early in the journey, which is the coolest thing ever, as God lines stuff up. And so please share, please rate it, and please help us find more families with this message of hope, answers, and drug-free help. Thanks, guys.